here today at O'Mara Farms. I saw a different sign out there in the front.
So you're at Endless Trails Farm and Guest House. We're over here on Larkin Road in Madison County. But Endless Trails is owned by O'Mara Farms and is actually the home to our cow-calf herd. So currently here we do about 66 pairs, and we have another farm in Sherburne where the rest of the cow-calf herd is. But Endless Trails Farm and Guest House borders the Charles E. Baker State Land. People come and stay with us, see the cows, bring their horses, and ride the trails.
Fantastic. So you are more than just, now you manage the O'Mara Farm and the herd and everything, and then you also manage kind of like the guest house. So it's almost like a working bed and breakfast on the farm.
Well, we call it a guest house because I don't have time to make breakfast. They can't be perfect at everything, but yes, my husband and I manage the O'Mara Farms Black Angus beef herd. We're a commercial herd. We do the cow-calf and we background the yearlings, and we always say that there's like 4 different full-time jobs. We do that. I do the guest house, the reservations, and the landscape. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. We love it.
So instead of, this is Christy Claudio, by the way. We should just call her Jack of all trades, and master of them all as well. But we're here. We're doing a whole series on farm recipes and rancher recipes and incense. And obviously, you are knee deep in farming, and I think it's awesome. And as we were getting ready, and you were just telling me everything, and some of the stuff is like so cool. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're making the world's best meatballs. Where did you find this recipe?
I found it on Instagram. Somebody shared it. I don't remember the account, but I really liked the idea of, instead of just pan frying them, you cook them and you steam them actually as you cook them in a beef broth. And so this recipe that we make, I normally double, and then I freeze them for recipes later, or for meals later, because I always run out of time to cook. So if I have frozen meatballs in the freezer, I can bring them out easily and use them quickly.
That's fine. So it actually came from a mindfulmom.com. That is the name of the Instagram account that this recipe came from. So we're putting a little kudos out there for you. And we're actually doing the recipe. What I have here are all the ingredients, and we're going to kind of show the ingredients step by step. But I really kind of like how they're displayed, and we're going to explain that as well too. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So the first thing that we got up to bat is 2 pounds of ground beef.
Yep.
And we're actually using your ground beef.
Yes, O'Mara Farms ground beef. Yep.
Awesome, cool. So then we also have a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs.
Right here. Yep.
So we're using either jelly jars or other kind of jars or mason jars. Why?
I have a lot of mason jars because we don't, my husband and I, we don't like to shop. And so for Christmas, we don't like buy gifts. We can things all throughout the year, and we raise about 60 meat birds. So our friends and family, I don't know if they enjoy it, but every year they get like jalapeno jelly, they'll get applesauce from our trees, and then a meat bird. But so they all get a different assortment. We do some pickled green tomatoes as well. Wow. So we put a little bag together, and I also take upcycling. I take the mineral bags from our cows' minerals, and I make them into tote bags. I have one. And then everybody gets like the canning jar and the meat bird and a bag made out of one of the mineral bags from our cows.
Oh, I'll have to show one of those later.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So,
I like it.
And then these are like the perfect measure, because you said the only measuring cup that you have is a 1/3 cup.
Yes, because the mason jars do it by quarter. So quarter, half, whole cups. They don't have thirds. So that's actually that's the only one. And actually this whole recipe, I'm not always like super particular on exactly, because I think when you cook it, a little bit extra of what you have at the time makes it better.
Right,
so.
Definitely like a little extra cheese, a little extra butter, or whatever's always really good.
Or whatever you're like out of, you can make up for with something else too.
Exactly. So we talked about the breadcrumbs, and speaking of cheese, we got a 1/2 or 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese right here.
Yep.
And we have
So I want to put them in as you do them too.
Oh, there you go.
Because you put all the ingredients in except for the beef first.
Okay, so that was the 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs.
Yep.
And we have a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese.
Yep.
And we have a 1/4 cup of milk.
Yep.
Any kind of milk, doesn't matter the percentage.
Yep.
Whatever.
I had 1%. That's just what we drink.
And then a cup of beef broth.
Yep, so you only actually use a 1/4 of it, I believe, right?
Oh, yes, it says divided. There you go.
So
she knows the recipe, I don't.
I use a 1/4 of it, so I'm going to go around to it. Because the rest of it you save to put in the thing. And then we have an egg.
No, I had brought some eggs because, I am not a farmer. I am Joe Consumer, just like everybody else. And she's like, oh, no, we have chickens, and I'm using a chicken's egg. And I was like,
we have 9 chickens. So we got them last summer when we did our meat birds, and they finally started giving us eggs. So my daughter's a connoisseur now. So when we eat eggs, she always asks, "Are these store eggs or our chicken eggs?" So we have one of our eggs.
There you go. Awesome. And we need a quarter cup of chopped parsley. So I wanted to show you a new trick because I said, well, you use fresh or do you use dry? And you said, hey, I always
dry. I never am prepared with a fresh.
So a nice little trick is get your scissors and just kind of chop this way, because I too don't have the time to sit there and chop, and I forgot my little like chopping wheel. That's awesome. And you can just do it like a haircut. So if you're like practicing hair cutting,
it's really pretty when it's fresh too.
Oh, I know, nice bright green, and the taste and stuff. Okay, so I'm
Does it
Italian.
taste like even better?
Yes, it does. I'm Italian, and it's always fresh parsley.
Maybe I should be good this year and get one of those planters that they have, like with
Yeah.
all the things around it.
And
like, have to try to keep it alive.
If you have a problem keeping these alive, you keep animals alive like crazy.
Okay, well, we used to have a really nice vegetable garden before we moved here. My husband wanted to start that again, and I said, well, when you have 140 cows a year, you can't keep everything alive. And I keep everything
140.
Yeah, we calved 140, and this year I think we might be at 150 or 160, depending on price checks. What? Yeah. Yeah, It keeps us busy, so that's why I like to make these and have them in the freezer.
So 150 cows, and it's like 75 with the calf pair, or is 150 total?
So last year we calved 138 total, and I backgrounded all of the yearlings from the previous year. So there was 108 yearlings that we backgrounded and grazed.
So what does backgrounding mean? Because not everybody knows our farm speech. So
So we're a pasture-based beef herd. So we graze from May until, if I did it well, November, hopefully. So backgrounding the yearlings, we calve from May to July. And so they stay with their mom until about February, end of January, February. We'll wean them, and then they'll eat baleage and barley and such until the grass is ready in May. So at that point, they're almost a year old, or going to be a year old soon, and we'll let them graze another whole summer before they go to the feedlot. So that just works out well for us. It gives them a little bit more time to grow up, to get bigger, and then gives them that frame that we need, because we finish on our farm-grown barley. So it gives them a good basis to then finish.
So they're basically on their mom for about 6 months, and then they're on pasture for the rest of the time until they're finished off.
Yep.
And Omaras, do they practice a grain finish protocol in a sense in that last 150 days?
Yeah, so it's the last, 150 days is perfect. They go to the feedlot in Canastota, and what they get there is high quality. It's like a third cut hay, some alfalfa. It all depends on what the harvest was for hay and what we have. But they get the best hay that we have. They have pasture access the whole entire time. And then they get, I think, about 20 pounds of barley. It's steamrolled barley. And it's actually barley that O'Mara Farms grows. And it's a malting barley. So they sell barley to like the 1815 distillery.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they sell most of their barley. And so maybe the barley that doesn't make the grade for the malting barley, it's still fine. The barley's fine for the cows. But they use their own crop of barley to finish the cows on. And we feel like it gives it a really good marbling and a really good flavor. And we feel like it's a little bit distinctive too. Instead of being on corn, we don't use any corn. So all our animals eat their whole entire life is minerals, pasture, grass, and barley. That's all they ever get.
And it just shows that the differences of farm families and their management practices and what they do, and how they care for their animal, and it's a constant, you're constantly looking at it and paying attention.
And always trying to make it better. That's the thing that I'm working at. I always, probably my boss Paul, I probably give him a headache because I'm always questioning what we do, why we do it, and how we can make it better. So
awesome. No, this is fantastic. So we also need some garlic.
Yes.
So here's a tablespoon of garlic that's in there.
We needed red pepper too.
And we have right here, so a quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes.
I'm not normally good. I just sprinkle a little.
Go sprinkle away.
Yeah, as long as you don't do too much, though.
No, that stuff is lethal.
Yeah, I did that once. It didn't come out that well. I had to dig out red pepper flakes.
And we need a teaspoon of oregano.
I have that.
And then it's salt and pepper. About a half a teaspoon of each.
I don't normally, I just... I like it when you grind it right then and there.
That's fantastic. So how often do you do this recipe? I mean, or how often do you eat this recipe? If you're making it double and then you bring it out and you have it in the freezer.
Probably about once a week. But I normally only get the time to make this probably like every other week. Because like I said, it's 2 pounds of ground beef, so I'll double it. And so 4 pounds of ground beef gives you a lot of meatballs.
So do you pair it with like pastas or lasagna, or do you eat them just as is, have sandwiches with them?
So far what we've done is my husband's the king of a red sauce, marinara. So he'll make a marinara, we'll throw them in at the end. Or he makes like a creamy, he cooks a lot. I'm pretty spoiled. He makes like a cream sauce with pasta or egg noodles, and then we'll put the meatballs in it as an addition. But yeah, we've thought of doing like meatball sandwiches. It's just another meal in the freezer. I do like breakfast bowls too.
Well, I have some extra egg noodles from another recipe that we did.
There you go.
So we can boil some off and we'll plate it up and stuff.
Yep.
So, and the last but not least is the
You put the ground beef in, and then you don't have to use the mixer, but I hate getting like all the stuff under your nails and stuff.
I worked food service for a long time, so I always have gloves around, and I do the same thing with like my meats and stuff, because I don't like to get them under my fingernails and everything, and it's just a little...
I think the mixer does a really good job of mixing it too. Better than I could do by hand. So my mom had gotten me a KitchenAid a while ago, and I
mine's like, yeah, it's an oldie but a goodie. I love my KitchenAid.
I just think it mixes it really well. So you just mix it. You try not to overmix it. Just combine it well. And wow, your fresh parsley really is going to look pretty in these. So that's about it. It doesn't take very long at all.
And then
I take my Pyrex, and then I cheat and I use a cookie.
Oh, no. I do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's uniformity, because that way the kids don't argue about my meatball's bigger than your meatball.
And then they cook well that way, too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's uniform, and you make sure, because ground beef needs to have an internal temperature of 160 degrees. That's really important when it comes to steaks, and everything else can be cooked at a different temperature, but ground beef definitely has to.
So you want it, to be consistent so it cooks well.
So another thing is so as we're doing here, and you do a lot kind of with consumers on here, we've done virtual tours on your farm, and kind of like satellite it out to different schools and stuff. What would you really like to kind of tell the consumer, let them know about like who you are and what you do and about the beef industry?
I think that people don't really understand how much it takes, and actually like how well and how much, like, I guess that's not saying it right. I guess just people don't understand how much thought goes into it to take care of them the right way and do what they need, and how much is on the background side of it. Like making sure that the protein in their hay is good enough for them, and that it's calving season and I'm staying up at night worried because it's rainy and it's windy and it's cold and I'm worried about how everybody is. So I just wish that people would realize that. I think sometimes they think factory farms and animals aren't cared for well, and that's actually not the case, because the majority of farmers, 98% of beef farmers, you would know the statistic, are family-owned farms.
I think the number is like 96 here in the state of New York alone.
Yep.
And then I believe nationally it's pretty close to that number as well.
Yeah, I think that there's a disconnect. People don't realize how much passion and how much work goes into taking care of animals and respecting them and doing the best that we can for them.
And and the agriculture census just came out, and I just recently saw a presentation done by Julie Suarez about the New York egg census, and our beef producers have actually increased in the state of New York. We have over 7,300 beef producers in New York State alone.
That's great.
Here's one of them.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is that the amount of care that you put into taking care of those animals and the nutrition aspect of it. You have a great relationship with your vet and probably a nutritionist too as well.
Yep. Working towards making a better mineral for our animals. Just I just really don't think people realize at the end of the day, like calving season, is the animals are a responsibility, and sometimes they get taken care of before I get to come inside and eat dinner and things like that. So
and we often talk about that. Sometimes it's cows before Christmas.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
And the kids have to understand that as well and everything. Now you have a couple kids.
I just have one daughter, Addison. She's 7. So we're lucky this time of the year. She doesn't exactly enjoy the cold, but who can blame her?
No.
And so now that she's older, she'll like to stay inside a little bit more. But come calving season, when school's almost done, she hears the side-by-side start, because that's what we use to check the animals. And she runs from wherever she is, because she won't miss tagging a new calf. That's her favorite time of the year, my favorite time of the year. Really,
And what time of year is calving season for you?
So we calve from May to July.
Well, most calve in the winter time. And
They do, yeah.
Oof, and so that's a little bit better.
We're a pasture-based farm, and we don't have a barn, so they winter outside the whole entire time. We use the geography here, and we use a lot of natural water to make sure that they have water and coverage and stuff. And then actually, like hay that I'm not quite happy with feeding them, we'll use for bedding hay. So we do a lot of time and a lot of work to make sure that they're fine. But for us, calving in May works well because the grass has started, it's getting warmer. It just works well in our system. But farmers do it all different kinds of ways. And it's whatever works best for them. So this makes about a 9 by 13, the 2 pounds did.
Perfect. And then it was me scooping, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so the uniformity, you got a great number.
Yep.
And you can take it and divide it up by...
Yep, and so we actually do as well, too, is the beef broth gets poured over the top of it. Yeah, and you don't even cover it. So you just pour the beef broth over the top. So as it cooks, it steams. And there will be like a little bit of juice on the bottom.
Sure.
So you can either use it in a recipe or just discard it. And then sometimes the beef does have a little bit of fat on the bottom. But then we just take it in the oven for 25 minutes.
All right, look at this.
They came out pretty good. They look edible, right?
And you do it, and then you would take some of those, and then you would go ahead and just put them aside. Now, don't you have like a little sample? You showed me that you actually have some.
I do freeze them, yeah. I let them come to room temperature, and then I put like 10 or 15 of them together in a Ziploc bag, and then I just throw them in the freezer, and they're ready to go at any point in time. It's a quick meal
Yeah,
in the freezer.
the kids are in sports, or they're doing anything, or you're out in the yard and stuff, you're getting late.
They go great in red sauce. So if you don't even defrost them and just throw them in a crock pot with red sauce, they heat up and it's delicious.
It's fantastic. And so that's what we have here. We just kind of put it some egg noodles just to dress up the plate. Like you could be with anything.
Anything.
So you know, with me, I would have these, if I had leftovers, not only would I do it this way, but then I would cut them up and I would put them in lasagna.
Yep.
There's meatballs.
You always have to taste them. You have to eat a couple, you know.
Definitely do.
Yep.
Chrissy, thank you. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I really appreciate this recipe. It's easy, it's simple, it's sustainable, just like your farm. That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, is the sustainability of the feed bag and so on and so forth. I think that's phenomenal. And what you're doing with the front of the house and your guest services and just how exciting. So
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
I hope everybody enjoys this wonderful recipe, super easy, best meatballs in the world type thing.
Yep.
And Kirsty, she knows what you follow you on Instagram?
Yes. Follow us at Omara Farms. O-M-A-R-A. Omara Farms. Thank you.